Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to a new video. So it's been a while since I've uploaded any videos on YouTube. That's because I kind of took a month-long break and finally I'm back, and hey, feels good to be back on YouTube. Now guys, before we start the video, if you like my content, make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube and hit that bell icon so that you can get notifications to my latest uploads. And do follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. All the links are down in the video description. Alright, so today's project is to replace this Sony head unit that I've got. This is my car stereo at home project. So we'll be replacing this with this Pioneer head unit. Now this is a really nice system. This is AVH 299BT. Now this is a used and discontinued model. So yeah, I bought this thing used. It's got DVD, Bluetooth, DIVX. It's got USB on its back. So let me show you the back of the stereo real quick. So that's the USB port. So it's got everything that the old Sony has, but instead of a black and white display, this one has a full color touchscreen. Okay, so I've got the Sony head unit out, and one thing I have noticed is that this Pioneer head unit does not have a subwoofer out. So you see on this Sony head unit, we have the front speaker out, rear speaker out, and then we have a subwoofer out. On this we have front speaker, these two, and then we have the rear speakers. So there's no subwoofer out on this, and I've checked the manual. Pioneer suggests to use the rear speaker out as subwoofer out, and fortunately our Sony amp has a pre-out for the rear speakers. So this is our subwoofer amplifier. This is Sony XMGS100, and this is what I'm talking about. This amp has a pre-out, so the rear speaker input goes in here and comes out of here, and from here it goes into the 4-channel amplifier, which is sitting over there. So there should be no problems with this Pioneer head unit. I've actually designed the subwoofer amplifier keeping in mind that not all head units have a subwoofer out. Okay, so the way this thing will work is that you take your two RCA cables which are going into your subwoofer amplifier and you plug them in into the rear out of the car stereo. Okay, so this is how it works. The rear speaker audio comes out from over here and goes into the subwoofer amplifier. Now the audio goes in over here and unprocessed audio comes out from over here. You see those two cables connected? These two cables are going into our 4-channel amplifier, and they are plugged into the rear speaker in on the 4-channel amp. And by the way, the 4-channel amp is Sony XMGS4. Also supports high-res audio. So this is a pretty decent 4-channel amp. Now the consequences of not having a subwoofer out on the car stereo means that you won't be able to adjust the low pass filter, the subsonic filter, and other values for the subwoofer. You will need to make changes on those values on the amp itself. However, you will still be able to control the subwoofer level, but that also will control your rear speaker level. So yeah, that's one big disadvantage of not having a subwoofer out on the car stereo itself. And that's the out for your front speakers. I'm just gonna connect the cable directly from the 4-channel amp over here. That's your video out, and that is for your rear camera. We don't have a camera, so we won't be using this one. And I'll be connecting a USB extension cable over there, and that's our firing harness connection. Now wiring this thing up is very simple and easy. I've done a video on how to wire up a car stereo at home, so the link is over here. Click over here if you want to watch that video. But I'll go over this really quickly because it's slightly different on this stereo. We have another cable here which is parking brake cable, this one. Now this green cable connects to the black cable, which is the ground or negative 12 volts. That's because the stereo needs to know your car is in park mode, otherwise it won't play any videos. So this cable must be connected to the negative 12 volts, otherwise the system won't play any videos. Then connect the yellow and the red wire, join them together, and that's your plus 12 volt or positive. This one is your negative. And this blue cable with a white stripe, this is your remote control for the amp. So this one will go into the remote control sensing of the amplifiers. The system remote control wire carries a 12 volt signal, and it signals the amp to turn on when you turn the head unit on and to turn off when you turn the head unit off. And rest of the cables are your speakers. We won't be using this. This is reverse gear signal input. That's for your rear camera activation. So we won't be using this. And again, we won't be using any of these cables because we've got amplifiers for these speakers. Okay, so moment of truth. Will this thing work or not? So let's power this thing on. Hey, look at that. It's working. Select program language, English. And you guys might have noticed this power supply is different. Originally I had a Corsair 550 watt. This is a Delta power supply and this one is 600 watts. So a little bit more capacity on this, but again this thing is becoming old and I might replace it in the future because this power supply is almost 7 years old and I've used it quite a bit. The Corsair power supply is in my old PC, the Pentium 2 project PC, which I did a few months earlier, but this power supply is out of my desktop PC, that one. So yeah, eventually I might replace this because this is an old power supply and old power supplies aren't reliable. But yeah, I'm so happy this thing is working. So yeah, thumbs up to this one. Also zip tied all those cables, and those cables are a mess. And I've also connected the USB and the microphone right over here, and the stereo is over here. See, this is what that system remote control wire does. The stereo is in standby mode and look at the amps. The amps are also turned off. Now as soon as I turn the stereo on, so let's select Bluetooth audio, you'll see the amps will also turn on. So now the stereo is on and the amps are also on. And I'm just gonna put the stereo in off mode, and now you'll see the amps will also turn off. Sure, you can wire these amps up directly, but then amps will always be turned on regardless of your stereo. So you want that remote control wire to be connected to your head unit. Alright guys, so this is my final setup. I've got the amps tuned, so everything sounds great. And I like the fact that this unit is flush with my shelf, so it doesn't stick out like that old system. But yeah, everything sounds great. There's no clipping. And it's connected to my phone through Bluetooth. But the controls work over here just fine. You know what guys, I've been listening to some songs and you know what, I'm gonna say it. This Pioneer head unit sounds better than this Sony head unit. I mean, the sound quality is noticeably better on this, and my longtime subscribers will know I'm a huge Sony fan. But yeah, this time I gotta admit, Pioneer head unit does sound better than this Sony head unit. Now unfortunately I don't have a DVD disc at hand, but let's try a CD. So I've got this Iron Maiden disc here. This will at least let us know if the CD drive is operational or not. But yeah, I cannot really turn up the volume, obvious reasons, copyrighted stuff. I think it's working. Yeah, it is working, but I cannot turn up the volume. Yeah, it's working fine. So I'll put some content on this USB. I've put an MP3 file and 2 video files. One of them is DIVX and the other one is MP4. So let's see if it works. Okay, so the head unit has recognized we have plugged in a USB. So this is the MP3 file which is on the USB drive. So let's see if it shows up the video files. Video? So look at that. So let's play this one, and obviously it's not 4K and it's not 60 FPS. I've converted this, but take a look at that. Yeah, seems to work okay, and I really like this display. It's nice and bright. I don't think you can tell on camera, but this display is quite nice. And look at those colors. yes, me likey. Now I did get the remote for this stereo, but unfortunately it's not working. So if I press any buttons, yeah, no response. So I'm guessing the battery on the remote is dead. So the remote runs on the CR2025 coin cell battery. I have 2032 but I don't have 2025, so I'm gonna have to order these. But yeah, the battery is dead. It's reading about 1.9 volts, so should be above 3 volts. This is a 3 volt battery. So yeah, the battery is dead. I have to replace that, but yeah, the remote should be fine. It's in good condition anyways. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of this video. Hope you've enjoyed. And before someone asks, yeah, this system is already sold, so I'm just gonna pack this up into this box and then I'm gonna give it to my friend tomorrow. This is a nice system, but I kinda like the Pioneer one more than this. So yeah guys, thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and do stay tuned for more videos like these, and I will see you guys next time.